Hi, my name is Alan Sens, and I'm sitting outside St. John's College, a graduate residential college at the University of British Columbia, specializing in international issues. Welcome to the Global Politics Instructional Video Series. In this series, we're exploring a number of issues related to global politics and international relations. And today, we're looking at migration and refugees. Now, migration and refugees is part of a larger study of the movement of peoples in human history. And obviously, today, people are moving around the world more than ever for reasons of work, business, to go to school, to visit families, tourism, and so on. But there's also a very important part of the global movement of peoples that involves refugees and migrants. And these are now major international issues. So let's have a look. Refugees and migrants. Now, there is a distinction between the two, and it's actually quite an important one. But this distinction in practice has become increasingly fuzzy over the years. Refugees are persons fleeing persecution, war, or violence in their home state. Whereas migrants, in contrast, are moving primarily for economic motives, although there are a number of other motives as well, and we'll come to those in a moment. So let's take a look first at refugees. I'm just going to draw a country here. So here's State A. And within State A, we have an individual. Now, this individual may feel threatened. They may feel that their home government is persecuting them, that they are at risk. They may be at risk of being hurt, harmed, or killed in a war or in violence in their home state. And as a result, they flee. And they flee into another country. And we'll call this country Country B. So now this individual has fled Country A and crossed a border and entered Country B. This person is now a refugee. Refugees, technically speaking, are persons fleeing persecution, war, or violence and cross a border from one state's territory into another. Now, when they do arrive in the territory of State B, under international law, every human being has the right to be protected from persecution. So this individual may then seek asylum in Country B. Now, another possibility is this individual may flee war or persecution or violence within State A, but they will flee to another part of the country. In other words, they won't cross a border. In those cases, this individual becomes what is called an internally displaced person, or IDP. And what's complicated about refugees is that although technically speaking, a refugee is an individual who crosses a border, internally displaced persons, also fleeing war, persecution, or violence, are also considered very important people to help protect and help secure around the world. But there is still a distinction between IDPs and refugees. Okay, so what happens to this person if they have fled persecution, war, or violence and are now residing in State B? And what happens here is that there's a lengthy process. They may go into a holding facility or a refugee camp, and then one of three things can happen. They might be repatriated back from Country B to their home state, Country A. And this repatriation may be voluntary or it may be forced. That is to say, Country B may force this person to go back to their home state. Another possibility is they may actually end up settling inside State B and may eventually become a citizen. Another possibility is that this individual may be resettled in a third country. They may be moved into the territory of State C, for example. And all of those possibilities, repatriation, settling in the host country, and resettlement in a third country happen a great deal in the international system. Now, migrants are a little bit different. Let's take a look at another individual. This individual is experiencing economic hardship in this country. Another possibility is that country A has experienced a horrible natural disaster or is experiencing extraordinary environmental stresses, a very long drought, for example. This individual may then flee into another country. In this case, we'll call it country D. And in cases such as this individual is a migrant. They are seeking work or economic opportunity in another country, country D. And the individual might meet immigration requirements and could come into the country, or they may have a work visa, or they may be an illegal immigrant. This person may have crossed the border illegally. And of course, this is quite a problem in many parts of the world. There are very large numbers of so-called illegal immigrants in Eastern Europe, for example, or in Europe from North Africa. There are also, obviously, a great deal of migrants, illegal immigrants included, living in the United States from Mexico and Central and South America. So what we have here is an interesting situation of people moving around the world. Some of them are being pushed by factors like war or persecution. Others are being pushed by natural disaster, by economic hardship, or by environmental disasters. But there are also pull factors, including jobs, economic opportunity, family unification, personal safety. And so the distinction between migrants and refugees is breaking down. We now speak of environmental refugees, for example. And as a result, this whole issue of refugees and migrants is one of the most interesting and complicated aspects of global politics. Okay, that was refugees and migrants. Now, there is an international organization in the world dedicated to helping refugees. And it's called the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. And it exists to help the human condition of refugees around the world and help governments cope with large influxes of refugees. There's also, however, a real growing challenge with respect to refugees and migrants around the world. Many argue that large refugee flows are causing social instability and even conflict in some countries. In other cases, migrants are often the focus for all sorts of social tensions revolving around immigration and work permits and the like. The risk here, of course, is that things like racism and prejudice and intolerance are becoming part of the world's reaction to migrants and to refugees. And of course, this raises larger issues about the human rights of these people who are fleeing persecution or simply seeking a better life for themselves and their families. I hope you enjoyed this video. Join me again next time.